How's it going, Giants fans? My name is Alex. My co-host here, Anthony Rivardo, changed up the scenery today to get closer to the Wi-Fi router. Obviously, upstairs has been a little bit laggy until we get the extender, but nonetheless, got some good lighting. We're feeling good. Andrew Thomas, we're talking about him today. Going to look at all of his run blocking snaps against the Packers, and he was dominant. We know he's been dominant in pass protection. The Giants really haven't ran that many true pass sets. A lot of bootleg, a lot of play action, a lot of screen passes, trying to get Daniel Jones a little bit more time in the pocket. But, the running game has been such a big proponent of how the Giants are strategizing around, attacking opposing defenses. And Andrew Thomas is an essential part to that. He's done so much for this team, getting to the second level, sealing off those blocks. Saquon Barkley's, a lot of his runs actually have been to that weak side on the left tackle side. And he's done a tremendous job exposing defenses with just great blocking up front. The Giants offensive line has been pretty solid in run protection. But otherwise, their pass blocking is still a little bit spotty. We still have a lot of young, unproven guys there, Evan Neal, Feliciano, Ben Bredesen. One day maybe we get Shane Lemieux back and we see if there's a competition there of some sort. But for now, at least we have a bookend left tackle in Andrew Thomas, who is shaping out to be, if not, one of the best left tackle in football for the future. So we're really excited about that. We're going to discuss him for a couple minutes, what he's done up to this point, and then we'll dive into his run blocking snaps against the Packers and what to expect against the Baltimore Ravens. But Anthony, before we dive into it, how are you today, my friend?
I'm doing great. I think Andrew Thomas is probably playing better than I've ever seen a New York Giants offensive lineman play ever, honestly. These first 5 weeks have been dominant from Andrew Thomas. He's playing at an elite all-pro level. And when was the last time we had a New York Giants offensive lineman that we said was doing that, playing at an all-pro level? It's been a very rare thing for the Giants to find quality offensive linemen, but here they are with Andrew Thomas looking like the best offensive lineman in the NFL through the first 5 weeks of the season, and it's been a joy to watch. I think that when you take a look at the New York Giants offense, it's just getting by with the talent that it has. There's not an abundance of talent. It's not like they have a Pro Bowl receiver plus a Pro Bowl tight end and all of that. I mean, Daniel Bellinger is putting in the work. Shout out Daniel Bellinger. We should probably discuss him soon. But the Giants' ragtag team of receivers is getting by. A lot of that has to do with the fact that Andrew Thomas is playing at such a high level, protecting Daniel Jones's blind side. And then, of course, we know that Saquon Barkley is playing at an exceptionally high level. And a lot of that also has to do with the success of Andrew Thomas as a run blocker. So Andrew Thomas really has been arguably the MVP of the New York Giants season thus far. You could say it's him. You could say it's Saquon Barkley, but Thomas has to be in the discussion, and he is really just playing out of his mind right now. It's been so great to watch, and if he continues to do this throughout the season, like I said, he'll get that all-pro accolade, and he'll earn his way to a big payday, and he's going to deserve it because, again, he looks like arguably the best offensive lineman in the NFL.
He absolutely does. And through 5 weeks, he's actually the highest graded offensive lineman in NFL too. He's the highest graded tackle by a pretty significant margin. I think Rashawn Slater's right behind him, and it's a pretty significant margin there. And this is a guy who obviously is playing on, I guess, the last couple of years, just a bad team. This year, obviously, they've elevated their game. You have a lot better coaches. They're getting the most out of their talent. But the last 2 years, man, like Andrew Thomas was the silver lining last season. He was the only one on offense that we were like, okay, we have a foundational building block. It's time to kind of ride that into the sunset. And he's done such a tremendous job to open this season. He's given up just 6 total pressures. He hasn't given up a pressure in his last 2 games against Chicago and Green Bay, which is actually just ridiculous. That's over 120 offensive snaps. He hasn't given up a single pressure, guys. Andrew Thomas is a bona fide star at left tackle. He is going to be an all-pro this season if he maintains this pace, and I think that he will. He doesn't seem like he's getting worse. It seems like he's getting better on a week-by-week basis, and the Giants' offense is running right through him and Saquon Barkley, and Daniel Jones is getting a lot of help from him. In terms of just protecting him on that blind side. So that's really awesome. We're really, really excited to see what he continue to mount and compound on this success. But let's take a look at his run blocking support, because ultimately I do think that he, we focus on the pass blocking a lot, but his run blocking is just absolutely fantastic. And I'm excited to kind of dive into that. So let's take a look at his run blocking from week 5 against Green Bay. He did a lot of interesting things. The Giants actually lined him up on the right side of the offensive line along with Evan Neal in that kind of jumbo tight end role. And they had a lot of success doing that. He did that 3 times in this game. But you're just going to see there's something about Andrew Thomas and the perfectionist kind of approach he has. Everything looks perfect. He just gets to his spot so quickly. He's so sturdy. He really just becomes this cement block. You can't get around him. If you're trying to get rid of him, shed that block. It's incredibly difficult to do. Andrew Thomas has done such a great job developing that portion of his game and making an impact.
Yeah, 100%. I love that the way the New York Giants coaching staff is getting creative, moving into the other side of the offensive line, giving Evan Neal a little bit of support. And there was even a play where the Giants had a huge gain down the left side on a rushing play where Andrew Thomas was actually on the right side blocking alongside Evan Neal. So the Packers, because they saw the Giants do this twice earlier in the game, they started stacking that right side. And this is the play right here. And Saquon Barkley is able to bounce off the biggest run of the day to the left side because the Packers defense saw Andrew Thomas on that right side, assumed that that's the way that the Giants were running the ball, pretty much stacked everyone there, and then it went the complete other way. Watch how shocked they are when this ball starts to move left. See, they never saw that coming, and it opens up a huge rushing lane for Saquon Barkley. He makes a man miss, goes for 40-plus yards. I love this. This is really creative. Again, we've talked a lot about the offensive coaching staff for the New York Giants putting their players in position to succeed. This was an opportunity for them to put Saquon Barkley in position to succeed in the best way through the usage of their elite player in Andrew Thomas. This was really clever, very smart stuff. You put Andrew Thomas on the right side, the entire Packers defense is expecting the ball to go to the right side on the run design, but it goes to the left and it springs Saquon Barkley open for a huge rushing gain. And again, love what the coaching staff is doing through 5 weeks, and what an awesome play this was.
This is awesome on multiple levels, right? Like, not only is Andrew Thomas drawing so much attention, you have Wildcat here with two running backs and you have Matt Breida, but there's three players here that I want to kind of highlight. First of all, David Sills, number 13. Watch the blocking job he does. Watch 82, Daniel Bellinger. Watch what he does in the blocking game. And most of all, watch Breida. Breida absolutely lays the wood. I think that's on 55 right there, right in front of David Sills. And he opens up this gap for Saquon so nicely, or rather, it's the guy behind him. Just watch watch all of these guys blocking. I mean, Bellinger, Sills, and Breida. Most of them are backups. Bellinger's obviously a starter, but on another team, he might be a backup as a rookie. But like, you're seeing guys just execute at a high level, right? Packers have a good defense. Look at Breida. This doesn't happen without that block from Breida right there. Creates enough space, pushes that defender out of the way. Bellinger's downfield, one-on-one in blocking, not even a chance. He doesn't even realize. I think that might be Jair Alexander. No idea that Saquon is already 10 yards past him by the time he gets to him. Bellinger uses that frame to block it off. This is just all around. Like, yes, or this is an Andrew Thomas video, but I just couldn't help myself but point out how efficient all of these blockers really looked in this play specifically. This is what good run offenses do. Everybody has a job. Everybody does it well. And you can see Feliciano get out there too and seal the edge right there. And it's just nice all around. So those second level defenders didn't stand a chance. Our guys wanted it more. And I think that's undoubtedly a variable that is kind of going under the surface right now. Is like, our players just look like they want it more. And I think mentality wise, we have an advantage, right? Like, we want to win more than the other team. That's why we're winning games right now. Yes, coaching, execution, discipline. We also just freaking want it more. Our guys get to their spots. They hold those blocks. Why is David Sills playing right now? Why is he not on the practice squad? Not because he's a receiver that can catch passes, but because he's a very good blocker in the run game, and the Giants' entire offense is predicated on running the football right now. So yes, in another offense, another team, David Sills probably wouldn't sniff the field, but I'm going to point out here that he's probably one of our best run blockers, and he shows maximum effort from the wide receiver position. And with Sterling Shepard going down, that's an asset the Giants can't afford to lose. So, something to consider when you're thinking about, like, why is David Sills playing? Like, why he's not doing anything? He's not catching the football. He's making an impact in other ways.
He certainly
Again,
is. And another player that I do want to mention real quickly, I know, got to focus on Andrew Thomas here, but I do also have to mention, you said something about Daniel Bellinger and the great block that he put on that last play. Daniel Bellinger is actually playing out of his mind right now as a run blocking tight end. And we definitely got to do an episode just discussing that. Like,
definitely.
that can be its own full discussion. I mean, Daniel Bellinger's playing great. But again, let's go ahead, dive into Andrew Thomas. Look at him get to the second level on this play and seal off that linebacker. Just keep pushing, driving those legs, and giving Saquon Barkley some extra yardage to fall forward for. And that's really what you see a lot of the times from Andrew Thomas. You see him just create a little lane for Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley probably picked the wrong hole on that one. I'm not going to blame Andrew Thomas for that. In all honesty, I think that he did a decent job blocking there. But I just think that Andrew Thomas is such a powerful human being. Like, he just moves defenders and he creates these little lanes for Saquon. And it's been great seeing through the first 5 weeks how Saquon Barkley is just trusting his offensive line here and able to find these little lanes. This time he's unable to find it this time, but if you see, there was a lane there. Andrew Thomas was sealing off the defender. And I just think that number 76, I believe that's John Feliciano or Mark Lewinsky, one of the two, they kind of just didn't get the best block on their man, forcing Saquon Barkley to bounce outside.
Yeah, I mean, just this run play alone, in the past couple of years, we would have never seen this many gaps, this many options for Saquon to choose. Like if you pause this right here, he can either take that middle, that right to the right side of Feliciano and just gut it right up the middle, and try to grind out a couple yards, or he can go behind Andrew Thomas. He could bounce it outside. I mean, you're seeing like a pretty significant amount of space here to work with. Most times last year, there was already a defender like in his face. He would have to break a tackle right, just getting the handoff. He'd have to break a tackle and then try to make something happen. Here, he has so many decisions that he doesn't even know which one to choose. He's like, all right, I'm going to hop step over here, jump inside. He ends up taking the wrong hole, but it happens. And he probably breaks off a 60-yarder on the next play. That's kind of Saquon's style. But, Andrew Thomas, you can see him here. He just always keeps his feet moving. He always has leverage. It's just a tremendous thing to see, man. I mean, he always is kind of in the right spot here. Really nice. Always leverage. That's not his fault. I mean, look what he does to this man. He completely has this guy on skates right now. Look how off balance he is. He doesn't allow him to even get a step.
He just has so much power in his upper body, like the hand fighting is always, and the way that he fires out of his stance, like if you just saw on that play, how quickly he got out of his stance and was able to just latch onto a defender. And here, I like these designed quarterback runs that the Giants ran. They were really effective in getting Daniel Jones some rushing yards, but it's also the offensive tackles have to sell those plays more than anybody. They have to make it feel for the pass rusher that they are going around the pocket, and then they start to seal off the pocket. It's like an interesting technique that they have to do there in order to trick the defense. That's probably Andrew Thomas's worst play on the film. He kind of whiffed there in run blocking, but yeah, it was still a touchdown. So it's like, I mean, how much can you really complain about that one? But again, look at how quickly he fires out of his stance. He blocks two people on that play. That was an incredible snap right there. I just think that really what always stands out to me with Andrew Thomas, when we're talking about either pass protection or run blocking, is just how quick his feet are as soon as the ball is snapped. He is so fast to get out of his stance and get into position, and that rings true again in the passing game and the running game. He is just firing out of his stance on all cylinders, and it always just freaks me out in a way because he's so huge and he's so like, he doesn't look like he should be moving that quickly, but he is, and it's almost scary. Like if I never would be, but if I was a defensive lineman in the NFL and I saw Andrew Thomas fire out of his stance the way that I've seen him do that on this film, I would probably be shitting a ton of bricks. Like, I'm not even going to lie. That man is scary. He is way too fast for his size. The way he fires out of his stance is what makes him such an elite player, and I think that that's definitely something that he should be giving some coaching tips to for the rest of the guys on the offensive line.
Yeah, also, I love how he places his hands, right? He always looks like he has leverage. He gets them into such a perfect place, and he doesn't get ripped. Like sometimes you'll see those pass rushers or like those interior defenders, like when they get your hands, when an offensive tackle or lineman gets their hands, they'll try to rip them away. But instead, he just keeps them locked on, man. He's like a freaking heat-seeking missile of an offensive tackle. And I really like to see, like you said, the athleticism he has. He's gotten so much more flexible over the last year, 2 years. That's really helped his game a lot because he can get out of his stance so quickly. His first step is always extremely positive, and I think that's always a huge benefit for him. Like he moves his feet so well, and when he gets you pile driving, when he gets moving, you can't stop the man. You can't get around him. He just moves you with his legs. He moves you with his feet and his power. And that's just something that you don't find all the time in offensive tackles that have balance issues. And Thomas, rookie season definitely had some balance issues, but now it seems like he's kind of alleviated those and he's ready to rock. He's ready to kind of put his best foot forward. And there really is not that many weaknesses to his game. Like if you look at his gameplay, his film, you don't really see anything glaring. He's pretty phenomenal in all facets. It seems like the Giants do so much to just manufacture production. You know what I mean? Like if you watch the Giants in the play action and the bootlegs, they just go to so many different directions. There's so many guys moving at all moments. All Thomas has to do is win his 1v1 battle. They're not expecting him to beat one guy and block one guy so viciously he can get to the second level and block another guy. He has one assignment and they know that he's going to succeed in that assignment. They know he's going to lock down his guy, which I think opens up the offense a lot, especially when the Giants are running these kind of wildcat formations like they have been the last couple of weeks. It's easy, man. I mean, look, when you have a guy of this caliber that's also very good in the play action, very good in the pass set game as well, you utilize that to your advantage. And Daniel Jones, God knows he's been killed the last couple of years in terms of having a bad offensive line, but at the very least, he's not getting hit from his blind side. And like we spoke about yesterday and 2 days ago in the Daniel Jones episode, they've done a lot of things to give him more time in the pocket with these play actions, these screen passes. They've, manufactured ways, the bootlegs to get him into space, and they get the offense moving towards Andrew Thomas, and then they roll him back out to the right side. I think that's kind of where he's better off throwing from that right hash. Especially with all those crossing routes, he can always throw it across back the field, like we saw with Darius Slayton a couple times against the Packers. But so far, when you have a player like Andrew Thomas, you lock them down. Of course, he's only in his third season, so we have the fourth year, we have the fifth year option, and then maybe even an extension after that. So we have 2 more seasons of elite level left tackle play, and this offense is proving to be pretty solid right now. I think they rank 13th in red zone efficiency, and that's just astronomical. 58% success rate compared to 44% success rate last year, 32nd ranked in the league, and 31st ranked in 2020. This team has taken such big steps forward, and they're not even close to their potential, right? Get yourself a couple of receivers in there, some healthy guys back, a stronger offensive line. We're the future is looking bright right now. And, Anthony, how important do you think Thomas is to the future right now, in just terms of at least having that one bookend tackle locked down? And we expect the same from Evan Neal if he can develop at the same pace.
Yeah, I mean, I expect that from both of them. I think that the Giants will end up with 2 bookends. Again, rookie growing pains for Evan Neal, something that we expected and something that we're going to continue to see for the rest of the season. However, with Andrew Thomas now in his 3rd year and really taking that leap forward, I mean, we saw a leap last year in his sophomore season, and though he was hobbled with a little bit of an injury, but now Andrew Thomas completely healthy, taking that jump forward in year 3 to becoming an all-pro caliber player. That's not something that you see very often. I just seen just such a vast difference, night and day difference in quality performance from an offensive tackle. And I think that he's going to be a long-term solution on the Giants offensive line. Like, I do truly believe that the Giants have found in Andrew Thomas a bookend left tackle, a blindside protector for the next 7 years at least. I do think that. Offensive linemen, they play in the NFL for a very long time. Andrew Thomas should be no different. I think that he's just tremendous in what he provides to the Giants right now. In the present day, he is, like I said, arguably the MVP of the New York Giants through the 2022 season. But if you're looking ahead to the future, as the Giants kind of continue to rebuild this team, they're winning, but they're still trying to rebuild some things. They're strapped for cash. They've got a lack of talent in the receiving department. They've got a depth issue on defense. They are still trying to rebuild this team. So over the course of the next 2 to 3 years, one of the major things that the Giants can be grateful for is the fact that they don't have to rebuild the left side of their offensive line necessarily, because they've got left tackle Andrew Thomas, who's going to hold down the fort for the next X amount of years, and they're just going to have to pay him eventually. But right now, he is on a cost-controlled contract, so they can go ahead and invest some of that money elsewhere, especially in the receiving department or, on that defensive line, just to shore up the depth that they have over there behind Leonard Williams and stuff. So Andrew Thomas is providing a lot to the Giants on the field right now, but contractually, the fact that he's on a rookie deal also provides the Giants with a ton of value to reinvest their money elsewhere. And going forward, I don't care what the price tag is. When his contract is up, you got to pay the man. Andrew Thomas, it's so important to have a bookend left tackle, a blindside protector, just locked into a contract for years and years. And Andrew Thomas is going to be that. So the New York Giants are going to have to pay him eventually. And honestly, I'm excited for it because I want the peace of mind to know that the Giants have paid their franchise left tackle, and he's going to be here for a long time protecting whichever quarterback takes the helm for the New York Giants.
Look, there are some players that aren't worth paying. Left tackles are. Those are the guys you pay. Those are the guys you lock down, especially one that is headed in the direction of, best tackle in the league. That's the guy you pay. And you make that happen early, by the way. You know what I mean? Like, you pay him probably next year on an extension, and you don't even think twice about it because it only kicks in after his rookie deal expires, right? And you're getting him at market value currently rather than what it's going to be 3-4 years down the road when the cap keeps increasing and this and that, different variables that impact offensive tackles play, especially with some of these older, like, dominant guys like Lane Johnson and whatnot retiring, and makes the position even more scarce. Teron Armstead maybe in a couple of years. Like, there's so many guys that are probably going to be gone. And that makes the tackle position even more, weak. And you got to lock these guys down long term. So if I'm the Giants, I'm not waiting till his 5th-year option to kick that in. I'm waiting until next year. I'm picking up the 5th-year option and I'm extending him at the same freaking time, because you don't let these guys walk, especially ones dominating at this level on a team as bad as the Giants were last season. And to see a player perform at that rate, that's just, it's an easy decision in my opinion. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see what happens in the future. Obviously, next season probably would be the most reasonable to extend him. But we'd love to hear perspectives on Andrew Thomas. Of course, I'm imagining everybody thinks that he is the best, and that he's one of the best, and we should have him for a very long time. He's currently the highest graded player on the offensive side in football. He's tied with Chris Jones, who's on the defensive side, with a 61.9 grade, I think PFF said. So, take it at you will, with you will, whatever. Thomas is definitely up there with some of the best in the league, and I think that's where he belongs. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Fireside Giants. Take a look at his run blocking clips from the Green Bay Packers game. Obviously, we look ahead to Baltimore. The Giants are going to have to establish the run against them, keep Lamar Jackson off the field, dominate time of possession, and that involves Andrew Thomas playing exceptionally well in the run blocking game and allowing the Giants to move the chain. So hopefully he can do that successfully. We expect it at this point. It's usual. He's consistent. So I'm excited to see week 6, as the rest of you are, I imagine, as well. But make sure to like, subscribe as always. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy Thursday Night Football tonight. And we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Giants episode.